uncle got a table for his son, and I started playing that, and I thought it was good. I couldn't hit a ball to save my life, but
Most people see Ronnie O'Sullivan as snooker's greatest genius, a man who makes impossible shots look effortless and breaks records like they're nothing. But behind every legend is a story of family, love, and the people who shaped them into greatness. Today, we're diving deep into the personal life of the Rocket. Ronnie O'Sullivan's story begins with two people who couldn't be more different. Yet together, they created snooker's most complex genius. His father, Ronnie Sr., was a larger-than-life character who ran a chain of sex shops across London. He was ambitious, driven, and had an eye for business that made the family wealthy. His mother, Maria, brought Italian warmth and stability to their home in Wordsley, West Midlands. She was the emotional anchor who tried to keep the family grounded despite the chaos that often surrounded them. Growing up, Ronnie was the center of attention. In a household where money was never a problem, but stability was always in question. His parents pushed him towards snooker from an early age, recognizing his natural talent and hoping it would give him focus. At age 4, Ronnie picked up his first cue. His father immediately saw something special and began taking him to local snooker clubs. These were serious training sessions where a young boy learned to handle pressure and perform under watchful eyes. The family dynamic was intense. His father demanded perfection, while his mother worried about the emotional toll this pressure might take on their son. But in 1992, everything changed. Ronnie was just 16 when his father was sentenced to life imprisonment for murder. The man who had been his biggest supporter, his harshest critic, and his role model was suddenly gone. The impact was devastating. Ronnie has often spoken about how his father's absence affected him, describing it as losing his anchor and his biggest fan at the same time. His mother, Maria, had to step up, becoming both parents while watching her son process grief and anger through snooker. But Ronnie also had to learn how to be a father himself, and it wasn't always easy. His first child, Taylor Ann, was born in 1997 when Ronnie was just 21 years old. She came from a 2-year relationship with Sally Magnus during the early days of his professional career. Being a young father while dealing with his own problems wasn't simple. Ronnie has been honest about making mistakes and not always being there when Taylor Ann needed him most. Then came Jo Langley, a woman who would become very important in Ronnie's life. They met at a drug rehab group where both were trying to get clean and start fresh. Jo understood Ronnie's struggles because she had been through similar battles herself. Their relationship lasted 8 years, and together they had 2 children. Lily was born in 2006, and their son Ronnie Jr. came along in 2007. For a while, they were like a real family, trying to build something stable together. But even with 2 young children, their relationship couldn't survive the pressure. In 2008, when Lily was just 2 and Ronnie Jr. was barely 1, they decided to split up. Friends said they had grown apart after many arguments and fights. The breakup was hard on everyone, especially the kids. Ronnie and Jo agreed to keep living together for a while so their children could have both parents around. After the split with Jo, Ronnie had to learn how to be a single dad while still playing professional snooker. It was one of the toughest periods of his life, trying to balance his career with being there for his 3 children. He's admitted many times that he wasn't the father he wanted to be back then. But Ronnie never gave up on his kids. As Taylor Ann, Lily, and Ronnie Jr. grew older, he worked hard to build stronger relationships with them. He wanted to be the dad they deserved, even if it took time to get there. In 2018, Ronnie became a grandfather when Taylor Ann had a baby. It was a proud moment that showed how much his family had grown. and how he was getting a second chance to be better. Then, in 2012, someone new entered Ronnie's life. Her name was Layla Ruas, and she would change everything. Their relationship began during one of Ronnie's most successful periods. He had just won his 4th World Championship, but behind the success, he was still battling the demons that had haunted him since his father's imprisonment. Layla brought something different to Ronnie's life. She wasn't impressed by his fame or intimidated by his reputation. Instead, she saw through the public persona to the vulnerable man underneath. She understood that behind the confident exterior was someone who needed unconditional support. The early years of their relationship were filled with passion and discovery. Layla would travel to his matches, becoming a familiar face in the crowd. She learned to read his moods, understanding when he needed space and when he needed comfort. But loving Ronnie O'Sullivan was never going to be easy. His battle with depression, his unpredictable behavior, and the constant pressure of being in the spotlight put enormous strain on their relationship. In 2022, after 10 years together, they reached a breaking point. The couple briefly separated, with both admitting that the pressures had become too much. For Ronnie, losing Layla felt like losing his anchor all over again. The separation was a wake-up call. Ronnie realized that his success meant nothing without the people he loved by his side. He worked on himself, addressing the issues that had driven them apart. By June 2025, they had reconciled. Their reunion was quieter this time, more mature. They had learned from their mistakes and were determined to build something stronger. Ronnie O'Sullivan's entry into snooker was explosive. At 7 years old, he was already showing signs of the genius that would make him a legend. His first club tournament win came at age 9, stunning everyone who watched. This was a natural ability that couldn't be taught. By 10, he was making century breaks, a feat that takes most players years to achieve. The snooker world started paying attention. At 13, he won the British Under-16 Championship, dominating players much older than him. Then came the moment that announced his arrival. At 15, he made his first competitive maximum break, becoming the youngest player ever to achieve this feat. But it was his professional debut that truly showed what Ronnie was capable of. Turning professional at 16, he won 74 of his first 76 qualifying matches. This was domination on a level the sport had never seen from someone so young. The breakthrough came in 1993. At just 17, Ronnie won the UK Championship, beating Stephen Hendry in the final. He became the youngest ever winner of a ranking event, a record that still stands today. The late 1990s were a blur of incredible snooker mixed with personal chaos. He reached 3 world semi-finals between 1996 and 1999, showing flashes of brilliance that reminded everyone why he was special. In 1997, he compiled the fastest maximum break in history, 5 minutes and 8 seconds, a record that still stands and showcases his incredible talent. The 2000s saw Ronnie at his peak. He won multiple world championships, UK championships, and Masters titles. He reached the world #1 ranking and established himself as the greatest player of his generation. But success came with its own pressures, and his battles with depression continued. His relationship with the sport has always been complicated. He's threatened to retire multiple times, taken extended breaks, and been openly critical of snooker's governing bodies. Yet every time he's written off, he returns stronger than before. In 2022, at age 46, Ronnie won his 7th World Championship, equaling Stephen Hendry's modern-era record. He became the oldest world champion in snooker history, proving that class is permanent and that his passion for the game burns as bright as ever. Today, Ronnie splits his time between England and China, where he's become incredibly popular. He's signed deals to promote snooker in Asia and has found a new audience that appreciates his artistry. At 49, Ronnie O'Sullivan shows no signs of slowing down. He continues to win tournaments, break records, and captivate audiences around the world. His 41 ranking titles and 23 Triple Crown victories speak to his incredible consistency and longevity. But his true legacy is in the way he's lived his life. He's shown that champions don't have to be perfect, that greatness can coexist with vulnerability, and that the most interesting people are often the most complicated. And that's the story of the Rocket, a man who found his way through the darkness to become a legend, whose impact extends far beyond the green baize. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and for more snooker content, click the screen right now.